Hello, Ian. Thank you so much for coming to join me today on this can-do conversation, reducing stress and increasing resilience. Now, for those of you who've been on webinars with us before, you'll have attended some of Ian's, and he's got lots to say about these particular subjects. I think it's very important that we pay attention and take on board some of his thought processes around sort of staying safe when you're working so hard. So I'm going to hand you over to Ian now. Thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you, Hilary.
Here we go.
Right. Can I pop that there? That
You can.
microphone? Perfect. Hopefully you can all hear me. Thank you very much for inviting me back, Hilary. It's lovely to be here again. I am Iain Smith from the cunningly named Iain Smith Coaching, and I've been working with schools and colleges in one form or another since 1991. And so I'm going to start with, how's that button working? Are we doing there? Let's have a look. Okay. Excellent, that's working. So that's who I am there, and we're going to start with this. This is about sharing a joy, and we're going to dive straight in. And very simply, I want you to think of something that you really enjoyed, just a small event, it could be anything small, in the last 24, 48 hours. And I just want you to focus on that for the moment. Hilary, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
So, and it can be anything. I'll give you a quick example. On the weekend, I got to go on the trampoline with my 10-year-old daughter. Because she's 10, she's pushing me away at the bit at the moment, so asserting her authority. So it was a lovely 10 minutes where I got to do her dance routine on the trampoline, and it really made me smile. That's a moment of joy. What's yours, Hilary?
My moment of joy this weekend was attending a neighbour's event where, with some practising comedians who were practising for the Edinburgh Fringe. So we don't normally get to have a giggle and just walk next door for that. So that was really good.
Lovely. Okay, great. And that's all I'm going to do for the moment. I'm going to come back to this just a little bit later in the webinar. But if you've got a moment of joy, just pop it down in the side column if you can there, and we'll share that, and then we'll come back to why that's a useful thing to do. Okay. Today's session, 3 things. We're going to have a look at stress and pressure because we use those terms pretty much interchangeably. We'll explore them a tiny bit. We'll look at what stops us from being well. And when I use the word well-being, resilience, happiness, I'm talking about the same thing. And we'll have a look at a handful of brief exercises that will allow us to do this. So let's crack on. A couple of things I'm not going to touch on: reflection, eating healthily, and getting exercise. When I say I'm not going to touch on them, look, here I am touching on them, but I'm not going to bang on about them because do you know what? We all know about this stuff already. It's hugely important. Please make time for it, but we're not going to go in about this anymore today. So, stress and pressure. We use these phrases all the time. We say, oh, I'm feeling really pressured now, feeling really stressed. And we know what we mean when we say it, and we know what other people mean when they say it as well. But it is useful just to make a distinction between the two phrases and to understand what we're talking about. So what is the difference? This picture sums it up nicely. It shouldn't make me laugh. It's not it's not a kind picture, but it does always make me smile somehow because this poor donkey is feeling particularly stressed. Okay, now if you imagine pressure to be the boxes on the donkey's cart, well, if you have a smaller number of boxes on the cart, that is a manageable amount of pressure. And the donkey would be able to handle a smaller amount of boxes, a smaller amount of pressure, with the resources that it's got. Those resources being, functioning equipment, strength, the energy, and maybe the motivation, whether that's the carrot or a stick. But it's got those resources it needs to deal with a manageable amount. Clearly, there's too much. There are too many packages going on there, and that's too much pressure. And so that's pushed the donkey over the tipping point, and the donkey is now stressed. It's unable to gain any purchase. So it's a nice little picture that summarizes it up very quickly and easily. If you may well feel like that donkey at times, scrabbling around trying to get purchase. So let's have a look at that, because this is the same picture really, but in just a little bit more detail. This is the pressure curve, and it's useful for us to know where we are on it, how it works and where we are on it at any given time, as a diagnostic tool to kind of look at where we are and then maybe decide what we need to do. So if you look at the bottom left corner, there's, in the unhealthy zone A, that's where you've got no pressure at all, because we talk about pressure as if it's a bad thing. Okay, too much pressure is, but no pressure at all is just as bad. That's an unhealthy zone. You have zero performance. You need some sort of pressure in order to get out of bed in the morning. We started this webinar at 12 o'clock, bang on, and that's a bit of pressure. I had to be here half an hour earlier to make sure I was here. That's a form of pressure. And of course, you need that in order for your performance to increase. So now looking at the zone B, okay, this is where the good stuff happens. This is where you've got enough pressure to perform. And that's where you want to be. When you go to work, you want to be in that zone. And if you look at the very apex of it there, the peak performance C, well, that's where, those moments when everything's going right, you're in what's called flow, and just, it's one of those moments where, yeah, everything is working just fantastically. But of course, you can't keep that up all the time. No one can keep that up all the time. Even Federer, who did rather well this weekend, he can't keep it up there all the time, so he chooses when to peak. Now, the danger is, for us working in education, that instead of going back down, okay, or back to the left, reducing the amount of pressure keeps on increasing. So you're at the top, you're working really well, and then you get extra boxes added onto your donkey cart. You get more and more work to do. And so you end up at that fatigue point just between the zones B and D there, can you see? And so at that point, you're really feeling stressed. And so the danger is, what will happen sometimes is that you will keep working to get through it. You're feeling the pressure, and your response takes you through into an unhealthy zone. So, okay, you've got loads of marking to do. It's already 2 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed. If you don't, you'll end up in that unhealthy zone. And it's easy to say, yes, go to bed. Let's have a look at how we can maybe do that soon. But it's useful for you to know where you are on this pressure curve. Okay. Any questions about this, please jot them down now, and we'll come back to them later. So, signs and symptoms. How do we know when we're getting stressed out or when others are getting stressed out? I use this slide at when I do this in person, and everyone knows. We all know exactly what it is to be stressed out. So you can tell in yourself the physical signs, which aren't always visual, but the physical signs are that sometimes, hair will start coming out, or you'll be biting your nails, or you'll feel a bit shaky, you'll be breathing differently. These are physical signs that you are maybe not dealing with the amount of pressure that you've got on, and you are being stressed. The visual signs that some of those may well be fine. There are other visual signs as well. Look at the picture of the guy there. Okay, he's in a ruffled shirt. He might have slept in it all night, and he's not had time for a shave in the morning. And so, his head is in his hands. These are fairly overt signs. But if you know if that's you, okay, or if that's a colleague, you can recognize that these signs may be displaying the fact that your colleague is not dealing with the pressure quite so well. Emotional signs, that comes up quite a lot. Usually we're talking about snapping at people, getting cross, snapping at not being kind enough to yourself, snapping at colleagues, snapping at students. We're there to help the students. We're doing this extra work that we're feeling the pressure to do to help the students, and yet that makes us tired and irritable, and so we start snapping at the students. Well, that doesn't make any sense, does it? So it's a self-defeating thing that we're doing. Check in with yourself, look out for each other, and see if there are any of these signs affecting yourself or colleagues. Okay, I'm going to change the tone a tiny bit now. Focus. When my wife was pregnant, this is not my wife, by the way, this is just a random picture, but when my wife was pregnant, all of a sudden I noticed pregnant women everywhere. It was the weirdest thing, because I swear they weren't there before, but now all of a sudden wherever I looked, there were pregnant women. And it happened in the shops as well. You go shopping, and all of a sudden, I'd noticed that every shop's got a maternity section, and a corresponding price increase as well, where you just add the word maternity to any particular noun, and you can charge 40% more. It's amazing. And of course, they were there before. It's just that I didn't notice them because my focus wasn't, I didn't have a pregnant woman in my life before, but now she was there, I noticed more of it. And it's this idea, of course, that you get more of what you're focusing on, or you notice more of what you're focusing on. Anyone bought a new car recently? If you've changed your car, you may well have suddenly noticed all those other cars on the road. We've got a friend who's just bought a Mini, one of those funky new Minis, and she's absolutely delighted with it. But she's got a tiny degree of disappointment that she shared, because she thought she was pretty unique and individual, but all she can see on the road, she reckons every third car is a Mini. And that's because where your focus goes, you notice more. You get more of what your focus is. There's a phrase that sums that up nicely. I can't quite remember what it is now. Right, fine. Why is this of interest to us? Okay, it's because bad trumps good. Okay, now what I mean by that is, a lot of the time, if you're focusing on good stuff, that's great. But a lot of the time we are focusing on negative things, and that brings us down. And it's natural to do this. We've got this inbuilt thing called the negativity bias. And it's completely natural. And it's actually a really good thing. Or most of the time it's a really good thing, because the reason you're here is because of the negativity bias. Your ancestors noticed the bad stuff about to happen. They were the ones who spotted the saber-toothed tiger and stepped out of the way. Okay? It was a good thing when the world was a dangerous place. It allows you to continue living because you step out of the way of danger. You notice the negativity and move past it. But the problem is that these days, regardless of what the Daily Mail will tell you, we don't live in a dangerous world. Most of our day-to-day life is very safe. The newspaper headlines will tell you something else, but most of your life is not affected by the newspaper headlines. Let's have a look at this picture I took a couple of years ago. Around this time, it was just at the end of the summer holidays, and we'd had a wonderful fortnight in Portugal on the Algarve, and we came back from 14 days of blue skies and glorious, well, everything was wonderful about it. And we had an evening flight back to Gatwick. You might be able to see it. It's the DY2451, London Gatwick, gates 9 to 11, at 21 or 100 hours, with the word cancelado written next to it. Now, I don't speak Portuguese, but I had a bad feeling about this. So, yeah, that's right, it was cancelled. And we ended up sleeping the night in Faro Airport. The compensation was worth it. We got 1,400 euros back for that, so do claim if ever you have the same experience. But I didn't want to be sleeping in Costa Coffee all through the night as we did, and it was a very uncomfortable night. Now, strangely enough, I mean, on holiday we'd put up something on Facebook the first week, and maybe another post the second, and friends, they generally like these things. I snapped that picture and put it up and said, oh, looks like a rough night. My timeline on Facebook was inundated, and that's what people are interested in. I'm not making a judgment, or it's no fault, but we're naturally set up to notice and respond to the negative things in life. And that's a difficulty when we live in a very safe world, because we start creating negative situations and it can bring us down. So if you think about the negativity in your lives, and it might be, okay, summer holidays are coming up, you might be spending time with family, and so you might well be thinking, oh my God, I've got to have time. We're laughing at the moment, aren't we, Hilary? So the relation who always does that thing that really annoys you, okay, you know what it is. Or maybe you're pleased that the summer holidays here because you don't have to deal with that student who won't ever, and again, you can finish the sentence, or the colleague you're not going to see for a while because that colleague drives you mad. They never do. And again, the sentence is yours to finish. Or that parent who just drives you up the wall. Okay, if we're focusing on them, or, you know, as soon as you see those people, you automatically have negative thoughts about them. That's not a great resilience method. It brings you down, and it can increase your stress levels very easily without you even noticing it. So what to do about it? Well, these are what we call ANTs, automatic negative thoughts, the ANT, and we want to be crushing these ANTs. I've just realised there's lots of animal cruelty in my slides.
Yeah.
There are themes that slowly emerge. Okay, but we're going to crush these ants. They're not real ants, they are the automatic negative thoughts, and we want to be doing that. And as soon as you notice them, that's the first part to getting rid of them. But there's something else I want to do. I want to share with you, and it's the Plectrum of Gratitude. And I give plectrums out in my stress and resilience training sessions, and everyone gets a plectrum. And I've got two here with me, and I'm going to offer them to Hilary. What should you like, Hilary? The emerald green or the deep purple?
I'd love the emerald green.
There you are.
That's yours. So much. Thank you.
Okay, and if you at home want to go and get yourselves a plectrum one day, that'd be great. And all you do with it, and I want Hilary to do the same with this, all I want you to do with it is to very simply put it about your person somewhere where you will come across it 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. So that might be in by your computer if you're there a lot, or it might be, if you drive a lot, it might be in your car, or it might be in your purse or your wallet. I know some people I wouldn't suggest putting it in their wallet because you'd never ever see it again. But you know, just put it in your pocket. And what happens is that you will come across it from time to time, and you'll reach for your keys, and in your pocket you'll find that, oh, it's a bit odd, there's a plectrum there, and you'll be surprised because you don't play the guitar and you've got a plectrum in your pocket. You won't be that surprised, obviously, because you put it there. But it will still stop you in your tracks just for a moment. And at that moment, I want you to simply think of something that you're grateful for. And if you're doing that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day, whenever you notice the plectrum, what you're doing is you're forming a new habit. You're realigning yourself to combat that negativity bias. It could be that you choose to think about the relation who's upsetting you at the moment, okay, or that you've got time with. And so for you, every time that you find your plectrum, just simply think of one good thing about that person, and you're reinforcing it. And we know what happens when you focus on something. You'll notice more and more of it, and you'll notice more of it about that person. You're de-stressing yourself, and you're building resilience. It's an interesting technique, and it works really well. I go back to schools and colleges, and when I've done that course, people always come back to me and say, you know, they show me where their plectrum is. Often blue tack it to the corner of their screen. Okay, another great, very simple strategy that you can do is to write a thank you note, a thank you letter, and send it to the person that you're writing it to. So what's the benefit of this? Okay, so when you think of writing a thank you letter, you've actually got to think of what that person did for you, or why you're grateful towards that person. That brings you back to having that thought about what was nice, what happened, what went well. And that's good for you. Then, of course, they get the thank you letter. Now, think about the last time you got a thank you note from someone. It might have been a while ago, it might have been very recently, but remember how it made you feel. And I'm guessing that it probably made you feel really good about yourself and about what you did for that person. Because we don't get those sorts of thank yous, those really generous, determined, overt thank yous all that often. And so when you do, it's a great thing that happens. Let me click on there. So what I do as well, I mean, you can do this as a piece of homework. We all like a bit of homework for the summer holidays. I want you to write a list of 10 people who you could thank. I've written 10 because in the courses I used to have it 3, and that would be no problem. And so I upped it to 6 and 7 and then 10. People get stuck around 6. Well, we know more than 6 people. Yeah. And so that's why I insist on 10. First 5 are dead easy, and then we're starting to push it. Well, actually, step out of our comfort zone and find those people that you could help. Not help, thank, but you are helping them. You are helping them by writing a thank you, but you're also helping yourself. So have a look at that list: colleagues, family, friends, people you've never even met. And then think about, and this is an important step on actually, how you will thank them. My dad, he loves to receive written cards. That's why I'm talking about that at the moment. So we'll go on holiday, and if ever I write a thank you note to him, I write it in a written form. And when I go on holiday, we send him physical postcards, because that's what he likes. And that's the important bit. I would prefer to send a photo on WhatsApp, but that's not the same for him. It has to be a physical object coming through the letterbox, and that's why we do that. So what do other people want from you? How's the best way for them to be thanked by you? Not for you to thank them, but for them to be thanked. Look at those lists, that list of things there. Is it a phone call? Some people really love a chat. Is it a recommendation on LinkedIn? They would prefer that. I don't know. I fell off my bike, Hilary, 2 weeks ago today. Ended up in A&E. That's the remnants of my elbow. But a very kind lad working at Wallingham Golf Club, not far from here. I fell off just in front of the golf club actually, and he was really kind. He jumped straight to the first aid box, patched me up and looked after me. And so a couple of days later I sent him a note, a thank you card. I hope he enjoyed it. I hope he enjoyed the £5 note I sent. Hope he had a drink on me, and that made me feel good doing that, and I hope he felt good doing receiving that. So here's a question: what would be the benefit of consciously starting your day, as we started this session, by sharing a joy? And that's all we did there, was remind ourselves of something nice that happened recently. Well, that's the same reason that we take photographs and keep photograph albums. We look back at them and it gives us pleasure. But we don't do that often, really. Now, when I was asking Hilary about her moment of joy, and she was telling us about going to the comedy club, she was smiling. I don't know if she knew, but she was smiling. She had a happy look on her face, and she was giggling when she was telling it. And I noticed that she was smiling when I told my story about my daughter as well. And so that's a double whammy, because we have to re-experience that joy. It's not just a one-time experience. You can enjoy it as many times as possible. So starting the day by sharing a joy, it's a very easy, simple, and a cumulative benefit that you can manifest very easily. Ending the day with gratitude, again, dead simple. Is it easy to do? It is if you go off to the works and buy a bunch of cheap thank you cards. They're all there, they're ready to go. I've got a big stack at home, so when I wanted to send that letter to the lad at the golf club, that was easy to do. Okay, moving on to a couple of things that stop us from well-being, from those resilience elements that we could really all benefit from. So anger, it's very quick to dip into anger for some of us. So, and that used to be me with traffic jams. I used to get very cross in traffic jams. Strangely enough, it didn't change the traffic jam. Lost luggage. Some people would get absolutely steaming furious when they get to a resort and find that the company has lost their luggage. Other people might not be bothered, and I know this because I asked this question, and there's a split. Some people would be distraught, and others would see it as an opportunity to go shopping and buy a new wardrobe and then claim it back on the insurance. So different responses. Something as trivial as tangled Christmas tree lights. I keep this one here because there were a couple of people who were incensed by this. They thought it would ruin their Christmas. They get so cross by it. And you might be scratching your head thinking, well, what's all the fuss? And that's a really useful distinction to make, that you might not be bothered by that, but other people are. And that makes it really clear that it's not the event itself. It's nothing to do with the traffic. It's nothing to do with the luggage. It's nothing to do with the Christmas tree lights. It's all about you. And that's an interesting distinction, okay? It's a double-edged sword, by the way, because it's all about you. And it's also a good thing because, hey, it's all about you and you get to change it. That change might not be as easy, but it's this, isn't it? It's people are not disturbed by the things, but their perspective on them, by the view they take of them. So here's one easy model that we can use to combat this, to work on it. So you might be about to be getting cross, and I'm going to ask you to use the Starr model. This is a very simple thing. So it works like this. You're about to get cross. Someone's pressed your buttons and you are about to blow. Instead of blowing, instead of doing your normal dance, they've taken one step, you know the step to take. No, change that pattern. So to do this, I want you to visualize a star. You're going to shoot up a star, whether you're, visual or auditory or, touchy-feely, however you imagine this star. Just think of a star and shoot it up. And the star has got how many? S-T-A-R-R, 5 letters for you to follow this acronym. And so what we're going to do is follow the S first of all. And whatever you were about to do, don't do it. Stop. I'll share a story with you and how this was very useful for me a number of times. So I parked my car at the local leisure centre, Donnings, and this was quite early on in the January, and I'd just signed up to a gym, as you often do in January. And I pulled in, and I literally just pulled on the handbrake, and as I did that and turned off the engine, a car perpendicular to me reversed and continued reversing and reversed into my car. Okay, door crumpled, you know that nice crumpling noise, oh, my heart sank. And then I don't think they'd noticed. So because what happened was they turned the wheel and they were driving away, and they seemed to be, I hopped out, leapt across and rapped on the back of the door. It was one of these big people carriers, and it lurched to a halt. And the person driving jumped out, leaving the door wide open, and just started shouting at me. It was quite terrifying. They were really, releasing both barrels at me. It was quite a stressful, pressureful situation. And my initial response, and I would have carried on doing this years ago, I would have joined in the dance and I would have started shouting back and I would have joined in, and who knows where that would have gone. But I shot up a star. That's what I did. I visually just thought, right, there goes the star. Whatever I need to do, the first S is stop. And so whatever I was going to do and say back to that person, I didn't. I just stopped. And then I did the next part, which is the T, which is think. And this is, and all these happen very quickly, but this is the model that you follow. It's the equivalent of counting to 10. It's the equivalent of taking a deep breath, and just with a bit more structure. And so I thought, right, what sort of a person do I want to be? Because that's the next bit. Think about where you want the long-term value to be. So am I the sort of person that gets into fights in car parks? No, I don't want to be. So that was my thought there. That just flashed through my mind. And then you go to the A, which is ask. So you've stopped. You're having to think about the sort of person you want to be. Ask what sort of, and so I have a stock question. I'm not very good at thinking on my feet, so I just have a stock question for this. And my stock question is, what's the best thing for me to do right now? And that was all. Okay, and do you know what? I couldn't think of anything, so I just thought I'll do nothing. And so that became the R. That was my response, the response in order to the question that you just asked. And so I just stood there like a lemon, doing nothing, while this one person just carried on yelling at me. And it's an interesting thing, because when someone's in the middle of an argument with you, if you're not joining in, it's very difficult for a person to have an argument with you if you're not joining in with them. So they eventually ran out of steam. And so this is the Starr Model, the main part of it there. And that was it. They calmed down. We finished things amicably. But I don't think that would have happened if I hadn't followed this model. And then, so you're thinking now, what about the last R? He's forgotten that. No, I haven't. It's here. It's the reward, because you need to reward yourself. Give yourself a little mental pat on the back or whatever it is, because you've broken that pattern. You've broken that model of behavior, that model of thinking, and you've chosen a different, better option. Okay, I went to the reception because, like all good leisure centres, it's got one of those vending machines that hand out chocolate bars, and I rewarded myself with a Snicker. So that's the Starr Model. It's a really useful model. You can do it quietly without anyone knowing. 5 Ways to Wellbeing. This is some research done by I think it was the New Economics Foundation, if I remember rightly. I'm just going to flick through these quite quickly because, again, these are fairly obvious no-brainers. You probably already know them, and I'll just share with you how we can use them very quickly. So, dead easy. It's connect. Have a support network. Have people around you that you know and who care for you. Be active. We touched on that. Get some exercise. Take notice. This is maybe about just time for reflection, or maybe it's meditation, or just taking 5. Keep learning. What's the phrase? It's something about learning something new every day, and then also give. So be charitable, and that doesn't necessarily mean donating, monthly to a charity. It's about how you're helping. There's lots of different ways to give. It might just be time or thoughts. So when we share these sort of things, you suddenly think, oh my goodness grief, I've got more stuff to do. I've got another bunch of things to, not only have I got all this coursework to mark, I've now got to be active and say, no, okay, let me share with you how easy it can be to do this, because you've already got opportunities. So here's an example that is dead easy. So how do we put it all together? Right, dead simple. This is an example that came up a while ago. You call an old friend and you arrange to do something with them, to play squash. And guess what? You don't know how to play squash, so you'll have to take notice as they teach you in your first ever game. Now, that's not an outlandish suggestion of doing something, meeting up like that. But within that, small scenario there, you've got the connection, you've got being active, you've got taking notice, and you've got keeping learning. All 4 of them already. Very easily done. And of course, because you're getting something from them, you might be able to offer something back. And that's all 5 in one very easy, manageable situation. So are there any situations you've got coming up where you can already put all these things into place? Okay, a couple of things to finish. Irritating habits. There's a pair of socks there because a client came to me a few years ago and said, Ian, I really want you to help me. My son is driving me nuts. He just leaves his socks all over the house and he never picks them up, and it's driving me mad. I want you to help me stop him doing it. I don't know what you thought I was going to do, because we don't do that. When I'm coaching people, we focus on you. You've got the responsibility to make a change. So we looked at this, okay? It's a great quote. If you don't like something, change it. And if you can't, change your perspective, change your attitude. So what did we do? We changed those irritating habits into endearing traits. We looked at it differently, okay? And we said, and this is the shortcut, but basically we said, imagine that your son wasn't there anymore when he leaves for college or whatever it is. You are not going to have those socks around anymore. And guess what? You will miss them, okay? And we took time to uncover how that would affect him. And you know what? He came up with this phrase, endearing traits, or signs of life, signs of life. That's what he called them. All right, so now when he sees the socks, they are signs of life, and they have a different meaning. So are there any opportunities for you to look at irritating habits with a different perspective? Because a different perspective can change everything. How you feel, how you respond, your behavior, your levels of stress, and how you're dealing with that, the pressure. You might think I've skipped a responsibility there. Hey, the dealing with the actual thing of leaving the socks around, that's still to be dealt with. Yeah, that's still on the cards. But we're going to have more chance of making that happen if we've got a calm response and a measured response, rather than just getting furious about it, because already that wasn't working. Didn't help anyone. So, a final thought. I'm going to leave you with a variation of this. So when life gives you lemons, hey, make lemonade. Now, let's be honest. If I'd started this webinar with this, you'd have all switched off. I know that, okay? But it is an interesting phrase. It's the hand that you've been given, so you've got to, you've been dealt with it, so you've got to play with that hand, whatever it is. Because the alternative is what? Well, the alternative is this. What to do when life gives you lemons? Well, don't make lemonade then. Fair enough. Make life take the lemons back. Get mad. Yell, I don't want your damn lemons. Demand to see life's manager. I love that one. And then burn down their house with the lemons. Well, good luck with that, because that's, not going to work. Life just doesn't work like that. You've still got the lemons. So what can you do? There's many, many different things you can do, and you might choose to do this now that the summer's coming. When life gives you lemons, ask for salt and tequila, and I'm sure you can work out the rest. So thank you very much for staying with us on this webinar today. I hope some of these breakneck speed strategies have given you pause for thought, and I hope you find them useful. I send out useful tips and tricks on a weekly basis and a newsletter, so do please enjoy that newsletter when it comes. It lands on your email, in your inbox every Friday, and I'll be sending that to you soon. Thank you very much. Over to you, Hilary.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Iain. Well, everyone, there was so much there actually, and it resonates with me on a daily basis. As far as my own sort of situation is concerned, I'm self-employed, as you probably all realise, but some of these things still apply, don't they? Because the pressure is the pressure you can put on yourself. It's not the pressure that others are putting on you. Sometimes it comes from inside, and that's quite hard to manage as well. I can see that somebody said something here, I don't know. We're going to run out of time very quickly, so I'm not going to be able to take any questions from you right now, but you can email them across, and we're more than happy to deal with any questions later. So please do that if you've got the opportunity to, because normally at this stage we say there's time for questions, but I think you'll agree that that was very valuable content from Iain, for which I thank him so much. I've got my plectrum, so I'm going to be placing that somewhere. I'm not quite sure yet where, but I think it's quite a nice idea to, in fact, I was going to say to you somewhere during the gratitude part.
Yes.
I was working with some students who had high anxiety, but not just anxiety, they were feeling quite depressed, you know, and I work with teenagers, as you know, and so it tends to go with the territory. And I read somewhere that a good thing is at the end of every day is to think of 3 good things and write them down. 3 good things, not just that happened today, but 3 good thoughts, 3 things you're grateful for, things that are positive in your life, and write them down every day before you go to bed, or when you get into bed, that's the last thing you think about, so that you don't then have troubled and worried nights, you know. And so I offered this as a suggestion to a couple of the young people I work with, and gave them a little book with a nice positive mantra on the front of it, you know. And they said they quite enjoyed it. And it was like actually having sometimes to think of 3 was part of the positivity of it, having to do that rather than not even trying to think of 3. Does that make sense? Because I knew they were going to have to show me next week.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you very much, Iain. Just one more thing. In the autumn term, when we're back and got dates in the diary, we've got a few more webinars coming up. I'm going to have Sarah Townsend back here, who's going to be talking to us about how we can support learners who are blind and partially sighted. And actually, this is, you know, she talks about things like it's not just about increasing the font size or enlarging things on the photocopier. There's many more facets to it, and I think you'll find that quite interesting. I'll do an anger management techniques session, and Karen Ferguson will be doing 360-degree behaviour, which is a really nice session. We're going to truncate them all to 30 minutes because that's usually the amount of time people have got to participate. So I will let you know when those dates are set up, and you can register yourself onto that. Just one last view of our contact information then. So if you want to join Iain's mailing list, then get onto that email there and request it, or go onto his website. And you've got my email address there. So if you've got any feedback, please give it to us. We'd love to hear it. And all that's left for me to say is have a wonderful summer. And thanks again, Iain, for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us on this.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So that's all from us for now then. Bye for now. See you in September.
Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.